again in trouble. Makes two-man miss. Looking downfield, going to throw into the end zone. It's caught for a touchdown! Wow! Red Raiders, by the way, will receive the second half kick. Melendez, three-step drop. Going to air it out. In the air, it's a jump ball. Kick up.
He's got a chance. It's in.
Wow! Wow! Blitz up the middle. This one intercepted. Picked off to the flat. It's Lynch. Lynch in a foot race. Jackson trying to catch it from behind, and he won't. Lynch with a pick six. Spalding needs a stop. Thomas a gun snap. Runs to his left. In trouble. Dropped again by Ensko. The ball's out. And he's got the football. Huge play. It sure is. Third and 8 for the 20-minute 42. Melendez gonna roll left. Gonna go back to his right. Eyes downfield. Throws into the end zone. He's got a man. And this one is caught. Touchdown, Spalding.
What a pass!
What a pass. What a catch.
What a catch!
And this time it's a counter.
Extremely well
Far
done.
side, first down within grasp for Peyton Enes-Yerno. He's all the way into the end zone. Concord trying to blitz. They go Preston up the middle. They get the first down, and they get the touchdown. On the 3rd and 9, Doward going to roll out right side, throw off the back foot. Leaping catch is made in the end zone. Touchdown, Concord. 7-yard line. Just inside of 3 minutes. Back to Bahuma. Spins inside the 5.
He's a
Still
bull.
fighting for the goal line. He's in for the touchdown.
He is a bull.
This is Savi going to throw near side, and it's intercepted. Wow, picked off by Isaiah Turner, and he may go all the way. Turner inside the 10. It's a pick 6. Backs and Bahuma behind him. Bahuma right side. Going to cut it inside. Looks now for the end zone. He's going to find his way in for a 28-yard touchdown run. With the ball just inside the 3-yard line, it's 1st and goal. They go up the middle, it's a touchdown. And that will do it. An impressive victory for Concord as they get it done 43-15. Well, hello everyone, and welcome here to Bedford. Nick and Ask this Steve Beals with you. It's FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance. We're live here at the Beals Insurance Studios, and a great show on the way. A little compact, a little shorter, but just as jam-packed. Trust me. We've got 3 heavyweights on the way as we begin things in about 15 minutes or so with Roger Brown, senior staff writer with the New Hampshire Union Leader and, of course, founder of the New Hampshire Football Report. Seems funny, but it is the first time we've touched base with Roger this season, so I'm sure we've got some good stuff for you on the way there. Then at the bottom of the hour, Londonderry and Pinkerton becomes the focus. Lancer head coach Jimmy Lauzon, old friend of the show, is back. Londonderry is 3-0 and atop the preseason power poll, atop the current Week 4 power poll following their 30-14 win over Wyndham. Then, of course, on the other side, really an institute in his own right at this point, Brian O'Reilly, the long time Pinkerton head coach / athletic director, will join us at 6:45. So stay on your toes for the next hour or so. Roger Brown, Jimmy Lauzon, Brian O'Reilly in that order coming up here on FNL Gridiron. Steve, this, of course, all leads up to tomorrow night's big broadcast where Pinkerton and Londonderry will meet at Londonderry High School, the MAC plaque on the line. That's a rivalry, of course, that goes back decades. Londonderry has won the last 5 matchups. I'm sure that's a fact that's not lost on Pinkerton, as the Lancers have been a thorn in the Astros' side, so to speak, over the last few seasons. We expect several thousand people to be there, another several thousand to tune in here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. We get things going at 6:45 with the pregame, 7 o'clock with the kick. Steve, I know that's one of your favorite weeks of the season.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock kick.
6 o'clock kick. I have a tremendous amount of respect for both of those coaches. You're looking at a guy who I wouldn't call him a young coach anymore because he started so young. He's got a lot of experience. Jimmy Lauzon, phenomenal guy. I think he's one of the great best adjustment people in the state of New Hampshire coming out in between quarters, never mind halves. You've seen changes in play and adjustments made, just incredible. Brian O'Reilly is the poster child for believing in your system and getting others to believe in it and buy in. And you look at the way Pinkerton plays, no matter whether they've lost the last 5 games or not, but his players play into his system, and they like doing it. And very physical football team. So this game has a story, just waiting to happen, as they do every week. I will say that probably one of the top 2 or 3 high school games I've ever enjoyed was the game coming out of COVID there last year that you could 5,000, 6,000. I think you said it was close to 6,000, Nick. Over in Pinkerton was just phenomenal. But I can't help but look back at the week we just left. This is we could have a show about the games, the game last week, in Portsmouth, and we could have another whole show on this game coming up. But don't want to lose sight of the tremendous game that we played. Please go look at it, folks, on YouTube if you want to see a great high school football game right down to the finish. Spalding Red Raiders at Portsmouth Clippers. Boy, what a thing. And congratulations to both of those teams for the joy and the excitement that they gave the city of Plymouth.
Yeah, kind of an instant classic for sure. And again, check that out on our YouTube channel, FNLNH Media. Again, Friday Night Lights New Hampshire on YouTube, FNLNH Media. That's a game where Spalding came alive in the final 6 minutes. You saw a big pick 6 there in the show intro. By the way, great job by our director, Ben Beals, working with our cameraman, Craig Incardoni, to get that for you. But Portsmouth, a stinging loss as they surrender 12 points over the final half quarter and fall to 1-2 on the season. Spalding, meanwhile, undefeated at 3-0 and garnering some votes for the union leader power poll. They were just left out of the top 10 ranking. And, well, we've got that handy. Let's go over it. Londonderry remains at the top spot, as they have been all season, despite the one out-of-state loss in week number 2. They get back on the winning track, beating a stubborn Wyndham team by a score of 30-14. Jaguars slipped to 1-2, and again, Londonderry improves to 2-1. Right behind them, Exeter 3-0, another big win for the Blue Hawks. They took care of Salem 35-15. They will take on Winnicott, renewing a Seacoast rivalry that goes back, I think, 93 years. That game will be played at Hampton. BG holding down the 3 spot yet again. Cardinals take on Merrimack this week. They beat up Goffstown 68-7 to remain undefeated. North and South get together in what they call the Battle of the Bridge from Stello Stadium. That game comes your way on Friday night. North, no problem with Keene, 28-13 in week number 3. Timberlane, they'll take on Keene this week. Owls able to rebound nicely with a 28-12 victory over the Warriors of Winnicott. They remain in the top 10 at number 6. Concord at number 7. We saw them on Saturday. Blowout Manchester Central, 43-15. They will take on the Alvern Broncos in Hudson on Friday night. Bedford, still at the same spot they were last week, number 8. They'll take on Goffstown this week. They went up to Saco, Maine, and came away with a 16-10 victory over a stubborn Thornton Academy team. So that's a good win there for the Bulldogs. Souhegan is the lone Division II team in the poll, checking in for the first time at number 9. They were 41-14 winners over Manchester West to improve to 3-0. They'll be tested out west at Lebanon in week number 4. And rounding out the top 10 is Dover. They just keep winning, 27-21 over Manchester Memorial. Somebody's got to lose. They'll take on Spalding in a battle of 2 3-0 teams on Friday night. So there again is your union leader power poll, week number 4. Londonderry at 1, Exeter at 2, BG at 3, Nashua North at 4, Pinkerton at 5. That's the same top 5 as last week, by the way. 6 is Timberlane, 7 is Concord, 8 Bedford, 9 Souhegan, and 10 Dover. Steve, your thoughts?
On what?
On the poll, just overall.
I think the poll clearly defines probably the top 4 or 5 teams. I don't think that's going to probably change much as far as them staying in the top 10. But the dogfight that you're seeing between 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is really going to be we have games yet to be played in matchups. I'll tell you, I've never felt a season since we've been doing this, Nick, that there was so many great matchups left after the third week. A lot of times you get those great matchups the beginning of the year, and it's kind of like, oh, I wish it wasn't now. I wish it was when the teams developed.
Right.
Not this year. You've got them all coming up at the right time, and Ben was just telling us about a 3-game weekend that we're going to be doing where it's just going to be lights out, knockdown, 3 knockdown dragouts. They're going to have major implications in playoff. And when you look at the weeks ensuing ahead, this game tomorrow night is going to be a big factor of that.
Yeah, and again, kind of an early kickoff as you mentioned.
Yep.
6 o'clock as opposed to 6:30 or even 7. It's 6 with our coverage beginning at 5:45 tomorrow night. And
when you look at Sauhegan, you got to believe what Coach Barquette and the town of Amherst has got going right now, that they deserve to be where they are. They even though they're in Division II, anybody knows that if they took on a Division I team with that the speed and the agility and the toughness and the great coaching that program has and the buy-in of those kids and the score differentials you're looking on, some good Division II teams shows that they deserve to be there.
Yeah, back-to-back wins of 41-14. They beat Milford in week number 2 by the same score that they beat West in week number 3. Keep an eye, though, up north on Guilford Belmont.
Yeah.
That's our director Ben Beals' new favorite team. They've got a 52-33 win over a very good Bow team. A Bow team that beat Plymouth the week before, perennially tough Plymouth. So Guilford Belmont emerging maybe as Sauhegan's prime competition at least 3 weeks in.
Well, that was a battle of which game to go to last week, but I think seeing Concord and Central last week was a great move, and I was able to see what, in my opinion, again, I'm not talking about the teams we haven't seen yet. We're going to see Heenan tomorrow night, and other good quarterbacks coming up. But what I've seen so far, in my opinion, we saw the 2 best quarterbacks that I've seen, interestingly enough, in that game last week was Zach Doward and Liam Murphy. Those 2 guys in the game on the Saturday's game of last week really stood out to me as 2 guys. If you're looking for a first-rate quarterback that can fire the ball and do it on the run, has all the intangibles, both those quarterbacks are impressive. We just saw Zach Dowd roll out there to the left and throw a touchdown in the end zone, look like a college-level player already. So, yeah, that's exciting to see, too. Concord football, the Crimson really showing how strong they are. And I thought Central had some chances there, had some situations which set them
back.
Did
a lot of good things.
Did a lot of good things, and Coach Ray has completely showed that he's emotionally tied into this team, and I just want to salute him when you go through these tough situations. If you saw the way Coach Ray was working with those guys, he's not done with his season, and he's going to make sure those players aren't either, because there's some serious talent there that if he can get it going, who knows? With 13 teams coming to the playoffs, wouldn't that be something? But they got a lot of work to do to get to that point. But they showed some signs against a very good Concord team at showing some strengths. They had a possibility in that game. They had a pretty rough call in that game on a block in the back. That
rough series of events, it seemed like, in the second quarter.
Exactly, yeah. Yep. It really was, Nick.
And that's when Concord kind of made their move.
Yep.
As we mentioned, Crimson will be heavy favorites over Alvern this weekend, frankly, and look good to improve perhaps to 3-1 if they can beat the Broncos. Central, meanwhile, is going to take the week off and return to action.
I think he'll take that
next week.
Yeah, he can really work with these guys.
All right. Take a break, come back. Roger Brown, first of 3 hard-hitting interviews on the other side. Roger, of course, the senior staff writer with the New Hampshire Union Leader and the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report. Old friend of the program on the other side. You're watching FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Hey, I'm Chad, the owner of New Hampshire iPhone Repair. We're New Hampshire's most trusted and affordable repair shop for your iPhone, iPad, iPod, and even Android needs. Don't worry, we're affordable, reliable, and we back our parts with a lifetime warranty. And you know what the best part is? No, what? We can repair your phone while you wait.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Green. Here's your iPad, good as new. Bring your phone into New Hampshire iPhone Repair today.
The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include tickets and discount cards to hundreds of local businesses. MG Sports now has a digital platform where athletes can raise funds in the comfort and safety of their own home. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here on FNL Gridiron, Nick Anastas along with Steve Beals, live from the Beals Insurance Studios in Bedford. Live every Thursday night during football season, 6 o'clock Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, you can always watch it anytime after on our YouTube channel, FNLNH Media. Again, Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire, on YouTube at FNLNH Media. We got Jimmy Lauzon coming up, the Londonderry head coach. Lancers looking to hold on to that top spot tomorrow night against their arch rival, Pinkerton. Brian O'Reilly, longtime head coach, joins us at 6:45. However, jumping on the show right now, Roger Brown, senior staff writer with the New Hampshire Union Leader, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report, joining us for the first time this season. Roger, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
I'm well, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
We are good.
Jeez.
I guess we'll start with the biggest game on the docket, at least according to us. Londonderry and Pinkerton. Both teams, of course, are 3-0. It's a rivalry that for a long, long time Pinkerton seemed to dominate up until recently, where Londonderry has won the last 5, including 2 postseason matchups. Last year's quarterfinal went to the Lancers 25-13. What's the biggest thing, Roger, you'll be watching for tomorrow when those two heavyweights collide?
Well, I think it's for Pinkerton to win, it's probably going to depend on if they can get the running game going. You know, the strength of their team is probably their backs with Albert and Yanako. And, you know, I think they're going to have to churn out some first downs on the ground. Sounds boring, but time of possession, keep the ball away from Londonderry, those sort of things. And then they can work in their passing game, their play-action passing game off of that. But, you know, if Londonderry is stuffing them in the running game and Pinkerton's having trouble moving the ball, you know, it's going to be a difficult task for the Astros, I think.
We've seen Pinkerton really come alive over the last 2 weeks, blowout wins over Goffstown and Alvern. This, of course, followed a rough second half against Wyndham in the opener. However, the Astros made some plays in the closing minutes to finish the job. Do you think that Pinkerton may have used that experience of that rough second half to kind of refocus? Because it seems like a switch has kind of gone off the last 2 weeks, as if they're trying to make a statement with these big blowout wins, 59 over the Grizzlies, 42 this last weekend over Hudson. Was that kind of a silver lining, do you think, facing some adversity early on for the Astros and then really breaking out the big stick the last couple of weeks?
It might have been, Nick. I was at that Pinkerton-Wyndham game, and Pinkerton was very fortunate to win it. It looked like they were going to run away with it, but they had a really rough second half, both in terms of stopping Wyndham, and they scored just enough to win, but really their defense struggled in the second half. So it was certainly a wake-up call in terms of you got to play all 4 quarters. You can't get complacent and things like that. I don't know how much to read into their 2 games that followed it. Goffstown is a very young team this year and struggling, and the same is true with Alvern. So, I'm not trying to insult those 2 programs, but not 2 of the stronger teams in the state this year. So I really don't think we're going to know about Pinkerton until after this Londonderry game, or at least we're going to learn a lot about them probably in this Londonderry game.
Roger, I assume Hersom is still in playing quarterback for Pinkerton?
As far as I know, yes.
Yeah, I have very limited videotape. I saw a little bit on a highlight of Joe's highlights on the Wyndham game, but other than that, I've seen nothing. So I'm really excited to look at both of these teams and kind of get a feel and see what they're at. So with that, I'm going to kind of let that happen. I'm going to pick your brain on a couple of other items. I don't know if you were able to watch the game at Portsmouth that we did last week, or hear about that game where Spalding came through and won. If you have seen that, I'm going another question if you haven't. But if you have seen it, what are your thoughts about both of these teams for real, as far as being for real?
Which one did you talk about, Steve? Spalding?
I'm talking about Spalding at Portsmouth at the Clippers, where Spalding pulled it out in the end.
Yeah, I didn't see the game, Steve, but I am familiar with how it finished, and I think Spalding still probably has something to prove to convince some people to turn them into believers, but. Mm-hmm. It's just what they needed, a program that's been struggling for years. Mm-hmm. You need wins against whoever you can get them against. And let's face it, they were, it doesn't matter who you're playing, when you're down 10 late and you can pull out a victory, you got to feel good about yourself. So, sometimes winning it gives you the confidence that you need. So I'm kind of intrigued by this Spalding team. When I was playing, which was, I know, forever ago, leather helmets and all that, Spalding was as good as anybody in the state.
Right.
Proud program and all that. So, it's good to see him back, competitive again, at least heading in the right direction. I did see Portsmouth in their opener, and I thought they were pretty good against that.
So did I.
Or not, the score didn't indicate it, but I don't think that's a bad team by any stretch.
No.
And, certainly, I don't know if they're going to beat any of the top teams in the state, but if you're in that next tier, you're going to have to come to play, or Portsmouth will have a chance to beat you, I think.
Yeah, I think they ran into a situation where their quarterback was out for a game, and he comes in, and he goes against a Red Raider team, which is I think it's just continually week by week surprises everybody. That above expectations of what Coach Hebert was. He was high on him, and boy, he's been right so far. I give him he and his staff a lot of credit. But what does Coach Pafford have to do to get this Portsmouth team? Looking forward to get some wins on the board. That's a tough loss last week, but where do you think they are in the scheme of things?
Well, I think they're like a lot of teams out there in that they just need to find another gear on offense, Steve. They haven't been putting up a lot of points. Another touchdown against Spalding, and that one's probably over.
Yep.
I know they had the quarterback issue, so that's, obviously a big factor. But I just think they need to find a way to move the ball better, score more, just get more offense to make them more competitive against some of the better teams. That would be what I've seen out of them so far. They got some hard-nosed kids, to play defense. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Just a matter if they can score enough points. And it seems like that's a theme with a lot of teams this year. Winnicott's another one, in the Seacoast that if they could get their offense going, boy, they'd be tough. They'd be
Yeah.
a handful, but it just
Absolutely.
hasn't happened yet.
Can't help but talk about Exeter here for a second. 3-0, just blowing everybody out. Rated number 1 in the power poll. Number 2 in the power poll, excuse me, in the power poll behind Londonderry. So they're obviously rated right up there in the mix. What are your thoughts of as far as if they were to go up against their other peers up at that level, as far as the quality of ball that they're playing here under Coach Ball right now?
I think this is probably the best Exeter team we've seen in quite a few years.
Feels it.
Yeah, they've got a little something, that some teams in the past didn't have. And I've been covering Exeter for a lot of years, and their best teams are always the ones that are just good right across the board. They've got above-average players everywhere. They may not have 3 or 4 superstars, although they do have, some excellent players. But they're just solid, and they're deep, and they're disciplined, as we know. And that's what they have this year. They got, I don't know, 5, 6 running backs they can use without really missing a beat. Quarterback who could throw, not just surprise you with the throw, but if they had to pass, not an issue.
They can do it.
Playing pretty good defense. Just a solid team all around, I would say. It should be a factor at the end of the year, I think.
I wish we had you on for an hour because I have another one, but if I got time?
You got about 30 seconds.
All right, real quick. Have you seen Liam from
Murphy
play for Central? Have you
I
seen
saw
him
a
play?
little bit of him in the Queen City Jamboree, Steve, is all
Pretty
I've seen
early.
of him so far.
Yeah, we saw him last week, and I got to tell you, if I was a school looking for a guy under the radar, I saw some intangible, some skills with the passing that guy did last week with Coach Ray, trying to coach him there, doing a good job. This kid is really, along with Zach Doward as well. Both of these guys looked, for what we've seen so far, my 2 number 1 quarterbacks. Again, we haven't seen Londonderry, the Pinkerton. We've seen a whole slew of teams. But of the 8 or 9 quarterbacks that we've seen so far, I don't know if you've seen him. But so I guess you won't get a comment on it, but I was just wondering if you had seen him or Doward. Any thoughts on those guys?
I've seen Doward. Very impressed with Doward for sure. I've seen more of him. Again, limited viewing of the Central quarterback just in the Jamboree, and it was tough to tell because it was early for the team as well as him.
Yeah.
And just switching gears real quick. I know you guys got to go, but there is a pretty significant injury in that Pinkerton Londonderry game. If you got Coach Lauzon up next, you may want to ask him about. You can elaborate a little bit.
Did not know. Okay, we'll do.
You going to give us a hint, Roger, or that's
I think
it?
he wants us to
Just
ask.
to
I
tease.
think he wants us to ask Jimmy.
No, I just thought you were out of time. It was just Ty Miles, their big
Oh no.
two-way lineman, who's among the best players in the state.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, out for the year, and wish him a speedy recovery. Obviously,
Yeah. He's one of my
Just
favorites, as you know,
huge
Roger.
loss. What's that?
He's one of my favorites. I really enjoy watching that young
Big
man
blow.
play. That's a big blow.
Dominant performance down in Rhode Island this year when I saw him play Hendricken, and you got a feel for him. Junior, so he does have a senior season ahead of him, but obviously a huge loss for the Lancers, and
Oh yeah.
Coach Lauzon can talk about that better than I can.
Roger, where are you going to be this weekend?
I'm going to be in Hampton, Exeter, Winnicott. See if I'm sure Winnicott's going to give them everything. This is their Super Bowl. It's kind of a dangerous spot for Exeter, despite their records, I think.
Yep.
So if they're not ready, they may get a surprise. But just crazy. I've covered that rivalry enough to know crazy things happen. So you never know what to expect, despite the records there.
Right. Well, Roger, we appreciate the time as usual. We'll catch up in a few weeks from now, and have a good weekend. We appreciate you coming on.
Okay, guys. Thank you for having me. Have a great weekend, everybody.
You too,
Thank you.
Roger. Thank you so much.
And again, Roger Brown, senior staff writer with the Union Leader, of course, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report, breaking some news. Ty Miles, we know, great all-around athlete, big frame, dominant presence on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Definitely a loss for Londonderry. What does Coach Lauzon plan to do about it? We'll ask him next, right here on FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Hey, I'm Chad, the owner of New Hampshire iPhone Repair. We're New Hampshire's most trusted and affordable repair shop for your iPhone, iPad, iPod, and even Android needs. Don't worry, we're affordable, reliable, and we back our parts with a lifetime warranty. And you know what the best part is? No, what? We can repair your phone while you wait.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Green. Here's your iPad, good as new. Bring your phone into New Hampshire iPhone Repair today.
The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include tickets and discount cards to hundreds of local businesses. MG Sports now has a digital platform where athletes can raise funds in the comfort and safety of their own home. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here on FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance. Nick Anastas with Steve Beals here from the Beals Insurance Studios in Bedford, live every Thursday night, 6 o'clock Eastern, right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. We appreciate Roger Brown for jumping on. You want to listen to that interview? Of course, check it out under the video section on our YouTube channel, FNLNH Media. Again, FNLNH Media on YouTube. Tomorrow night, we're on the air early, 5:45 or so, in advance of a 6 o'clock Eastern kick between Pinkerton and Londonderry. That's the Mac Plaque game. That's a rivalry, of course, that goes back nearly 40 years between those two schools. We'll get Coach O'Reilly of Pinkerton's perspective coming up in about 15 minutes or so. But right now, joining us from the locker room is Lancer head coach Jimmy Lauzon. And there he is, Coach. Glad to have you back on. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. As always, I appreciate it.
We appreciate you coming on. We just were informed from Roger about the Ty Miles injury. You're really all-state performer up front. What can you tell us about that injury itself, and how do you plan to fill some of that production that he leaves in his wake?
Yeah, That's I could go on for days about that injury and just Ty as a player. Just briefly on him, he's obviously started every game last year as a sophomore. He's 6'5", 285 pounds, and he's just got some rare ability and strength. Beyond that, though, he's just a phenomenal kid. He's a 4.0 student, class president, football, baseball, basketball, starter in varsity. So, this will take him out for basketball and baseball season as well. And, which is disappointing, but, he has surgery next week and we'll get him back as fast as possible. He's still got a lot of football in his future and a very bright future, beyond Londonderry. But thankfully he is only a junior if there is a bright spot to this, I guess. And, he's when a guy gets hurt, and it impacts a whole program, and you feel it in the school. You know how much of a value you are, and how much people appreciate you. And so he's a great person, great kid, and so everybody was heartbroken about that. But he, as far as the position goes and and how we'll fill it, I mean, Coach Salidas and myself coach the defensive line here, and it's a position, thankfully, I was feeling good about, and in the depth that we have. So it's a position I take very seriously, and it's hard to win games, especially in New Hampshire when teams are running the ball all the time without a stout D line, and you need more than just 3 or 4 that you play. So luckily we have some guys I feel really good about, and hopefully they'll be able to step in and emerge.
Give me your thoughts on the first 3 games of the season. As we know, Concord hung around with you guys until you pulled it off in the fourth quarter. That raised a few eyebrows statewide. Then you go out of state against one of the premier programs in New England, really, especially in Rhode Island, in Bishop Hendricken. You lose there, and then you come back with another strong second-half performance and put away Wyndham 30-14. How would you assess the first 3 weeks of the season for your club?
It's kind of shown a lot of who we are and what we're about, and we've had to come back in each game, and I've watched the kids respond extremely well over the last 3 games and stay composed, which is something that we've struggled with in the past. It's easy to go in at halftime against a rival team, and in a conference game, and see guys start getting on each other. There was none of that, and they. Did they embrace any adjustments we made and changes that we made, and they did a great job. So I just, from an assessment of my team, I think, they're awesome. They're everything I thought they'd be. There's some great leaders. They showed their experience, and they're very composed. From, just from a where we stand, I think we're extremely battle tested at this point. I think all 3 teams we played are good, and I mean, I had a feeling Wyndham was going to be good this year. They've returned a lot of their best players, and they're a talented group, built a lot like us, and they're fast, they fly around, and then Concord was, getting their running back off of injury, their quarterbacks, very poised, and they had some really good athletes, and they're big up front, and they returned everybody. So once I started watching film on them from the preseason, I'm like, yeah, they're better than people think. So I think we're battle tested. I think we've played 3 good teams, and hopefully that will show as we go forward. And at the end of the day, with as many teams making the playoffs as possible, if we're fortunate enough to be one of them, you want to go into it battle tested, and I think that's hopefully where we'll be.
Coach Jim, please give Ty FNLNH his best. He, as you well know, I think the world of that kid. I watch him play, and he just inspires me. He's just, talk about easy color analyst. When you talk about that guy, he just gives you all kinds of things to talk about. And I'm going to miss him awful this year because I really enjoyed it.
He was playing phenomenal in the first 2 games.
Oh, my word. So please give him our best, and we're thinking of him, and thanks. We look forward to seeing him heal as quickly as possible and getting back on the gridiron for next year.
Absolutely.
So having said that, Drew Heenan, looking for an update on him. I mean, I saw Drew Heenan come in the second half. I think it was last year in the Pinkerton game, correct? And it was like, wow, that's the backup quarterback. Pretty amazing, and he fights like a dog. So, and just for a guy with that frame, has just got unbelievable skills. How has he done? Obviously, you're 3-0. You got to be pretty pleased with what he's done. But could you just give us a Jim Lauzon analysis of where he's at this point, and what things have changed for the better even this year over last year? Hard to imagine, but
yeah, no, he's there's always room to grow, and
Sure.
he knows that. He's a guy that aspires to be, a teacher and a coach at some point, and so he knows there's always room to grow, and we're constantly working at that. And we worked at it this whole offseason. He's, the one thing about Drew is his work ethic has been phenomenal. I mean, he's like a film rat like myself, and so we get along in that aspect. It's been great to be able to just throw things out there, and he picks it up really quickly, and so he's very smart. He's off to a great start. We have a lot of good athletes, so the goal was really just kind of spread the ball around and let him be a facilitator of the ball, but. He likes the ball in his hands and running, and we went to that last game, and it kind of felt like home for us, like that's kind of where we like to live. And I think he only had like 4 carries going into the last game, and last game he had a bunch, and he was running through people and running hard, which is what he does. Best word to probably describe Drew is like the moxie. Like he's just kind of got that chip on his shoulder. I think. Not being the biggest guy out there, he kind of plays like that, but he plays like he's got a major chip, and he wants to play bigger than he is. And, I can't say enough about him. He's been awesome. But, of course, there's things that we've got to improve on over the course of the season, and we've got to, we've just got to take what the defenses are giving us and just try to pick things apart and facilitate the ball, like I said.
You got a big game coming up tomorrow night. Obviously, we're going to be there. Wouldn't miss that one for the world. It's going to be loaded with people, loaded with pomp, circumstance, 2 phenomenal bands. I'm going to argue 2 phenomenal coaches, 2 phenomenal football programs, and 2 great communities that love the game of football. When you go into that, Jim, you go out there. As far as the preparation thing, what are the things that without giving up all of your secret sauce? What are a couple things you're looking for, Pinkerton, you really got to be careful for tomorrow night? He's struggling. Look at him.
Well, Coach O'Reilly does a great job.
He
really does, and he's great at adjustments, and he's always throwing curveballs at us, week 4, because we know each other so well, as far as our 2 programs go. And so, just kind of be ready to adjust at any point. I think, we've done a pretty good job of that in the past, but, with him, he's got an answer for everything at this point in his career, and so
Yes.
We get better as a staff every time we go against them, and I expect nothing less this time. And so, but the preparation for them, they're a good team, really good team. They're 2 great backs. Every time Coach O'Reilly has good backs, he finds ways to get them loose. And
he does.
We can go over the laundry list of guys that he's had over the years in the backfield, and these 2 guys are really good, and we know we're going to have to be up for that challenge. But defensively, they've been really stout the last 2 games, especially. And, Yanako's a great 2-way player. Albert looks great at corner this year. And, there's new names every year for them. But, so we'll get to know them tomorrow night. And, we'll see them. We keep a close eye on them, and likewise throughout the year. This year we don't necessarily have to go through them in the playoffs, which is makes this matchup a little bit more interesting, because when we're both good, we always kind of have a feeling that we might see each other again, and so you don't show each other your whole hand. But this time it's do what we got to do to win this game.
Well, I'm just going to take Nick. I'll hand it back to you, but don't think that I don't know the Coach Lauzon just Belichicked me. All right, so he completely tremendous answer, but keeping things close to the vest as you always do, Jim. Jim, as always, wish you the best of luck. And you and your whole staff and the whole community of Londonderry, we love both of these programs. And, boy, FNLNH, it's an honor to come cover these games. Looking forward to seeing it tomorrow night.
Yeah, I couldn't have said
Get some sleep, brother.
Couldn't have said it better. Coach, we appreciate it, and good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Coach.
Again, Jimmy Lauzon. now in year number 9.
Where do they go?
Londonderry.
Where do those years go?
I don't know, but we know he's been able to elevate the program really since day one, and it's going to be on display tomorrow night. They've won 2, of course, of the last 3 Division I championships, and traditionally the road to that title has gone through Pinkerton.
But both of these coaches, obviously Coach O'Reilly, Hall of Fame coach, no question, legend in the state of New Hampshire. And the nice thing about that is he's well known outside of New Hampshire for willing to go up against some top brass for years and years. But both Coach Lauzon and Coach O'Reilly are not just great coaches, but they're great administrators and managers of a program. They know where the pulse is, and they know when to tamp some of the things down, and they know when it's time to ramp it up,
right.
Nick, and they're just terrific at it.
Right. Well, we got a Belichick-esque answer there at the tail end of the Lauzon interview. We'll see if
he knew
Steve
it. He knew he was doing.
Can crack the safe with our next guest.
I doubt it.
And that, of course, is long.
We're going to be okay this year.
Pinkerton head coach Brian O'Reilly.
Love
he
him.
is next. One of the better interviews we're going to do this season. It's on the other side here. You're watching FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Hey, I'm Chad, the owner of New Hampshire iPhone Repair. We're New Hampshire's most trusted and affordable repair shop for your iPhone, iPad, iPod, and even Android needs. Don't worry, we're affordable, reliable, and we back our parts with a lifetime warranty. And you know what the best part is? No, what? We can repair your phone while you wait.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Green. Here's your iPad, good as new. Bring your phone into New Hampshire iPhone Repair today.
The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include tickets and discount cards to hundreds of local businesses. MG Sports now has a digital platform where athletes can raise funds in the comfort and safety of their own home. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here in the Beals Insurance Studios in Bedford. Nick and Astis, Steve Beals with you. It's FNL Gridiron, live every Thursday, 6 o'clock Eastern during football season. You miss any part of the show, don't worry. The archives are up really right after we wrap up on our YouTube channel, Friday Night Lights New Hampshire on YouTube at FNLNH Media. We appreciate Roger Brown, New Hampshire Union Leader, Senior Staff Writer, and founder of the New Hampshire Football Report for joining us earlier. Good stuff from Coach Lauzon of Londonderry a moment ago. Of course, tomorrow night we are in Londonderry. Lancers and Astros. Pinkerton, Londonderry. Game kicks off a little early tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Eastern. We'll be on the air at about 5:45. Joining us now is the longtime Pinkerton head coach / athletic director, Brian O'Reilly, joining us from his home. Coach, great to see you. How are you tonight?
Oh, good. Now that I've figured out the technological problems, yeah, I'm good.
Did Ben help you?
Off the phone, I got stretched out, so I'm on the computer now. We're all set.
Yeah, looks good.
You look good. Good enough, Coach. We appreciate it. I guess we'll start with week one, right? When things kind of got away from your team a little bit in the second half against Wyndham, you surrendered a big lead, but most importantly, your team found a way to win down the stretch. And you've been lights out really ever since with back-to-back blowout victories in weeks 2 and 3. Was that a lesson learned, Coach, early in the season for your club, that second half against the Jaguars?
Well, you try to turn everything into a lesson, don't you? It's not a lesson I would prefer to have to teach, but a couple of things there. First of all, Wyndham's a very good football team. Anytime you open a season, every year, your first game, you just never know. And things went too easy for us in the first half. But that was an extremely hot day, very similar to the next Saturday when we played down in Rhode Island. And quite honestly, we started to melt in the second half. We had big kids up front. We were already missing 2 starters on the line by the middle of the first quarter. And then they wind up going both ways. You bring in the other kids. And honestly, we weren't in good enough shape. One of the drawbacks to having preseason as it is now, with the limited number of hours as opposed to what we used to have, I can't speak for other coaches, but I can speak for myself. We don't do enough conditioning in August like we used to. I understand the need, and it is what it is, and that's the way it's always going to be, but the need to limit practices because people think that you're going to give kids too much and heat exhaustion and such, but what they miss out on is the amount of teaching that is required in August, in the double sessions. You could take care of everything, and then you had time to condition. For us, we spent way too much time teaching this offense, this formation, this defense, everything else, and not enough time conditioning, and it caught up with us. We've made up for it since. I can tell you our players are really happy with what we've been doing in practice with conditioning since that Wyndham game. Learned.
Well, that was kind of my next question, Coach. You stole my thunder a bit, is how do you as a staff counter those new rules and regulations around August? I mean, I'd imagine it's tough, but as you said, you've kind of made up for lost ground over the last couple of weeks. How do you do that from a practice standpoint?
I suppose you could start, now that it's legal, you could start earlier in the summer and try to have all summer long practices, which is just wrong for kids. Let them be kids, let them do other things. But or you just recognize that that's the way it is, and you're going to have to leave some things out. That's hard for those of us who have done it forever. This is the way we do things, and we spend this much time putting this in and this in and this in, but then all of a sudden, I mean, there was a time we used to have 2 solid weeks of double sessions right from the very first day. That would be close to 5 hours a day of teaching and conditioning. Now we have 1 session and for 5 straight days, and then it's 1 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off, and it is what it is. It's not going to change. They're not going to change the rule. I know why they did it, even though we've never had a history of problems in the state with heat and such, but you just have to adjust. That's all.
Tell me a little bit about the personnel, Coach. You've got some seniors, some names that us in the media are familiar with at this point. Jake Albert seems like it's been around forever, although we interviewed you on this show 3 years ago, and you said he kind of fell into your lap out of the blue as a freshman, really developed into one of the state's all-around best players, and then Cole Yanako, his running mate, forms one of the best 1-2 punches in terms of the backfield. Tell me about this group of seniors, and I guess those two names are as good of a place to start as any.
It's rare that I've had 2 4-year starters in the backfield. Jacob right from the get-go, Cole as the season progressed his freshman year. But we also have Caden Michaud, who's been a 2-year starter as a junior, and we have Matt Morrison, a sophomore who has been lights out for us since he ever showed up in the program. We've got a very good backfield. We've got really good speed, as fast a backfield as I've ever had. It doesn't mean we haven't had individual people faster, but as a collective group, there's some athletes there. So they're really the core of our team. They all play both ways. They're on offense and defense, and they make up a good part of our athleticism. And there are other players, obviously. You don't just go with 4 kids.
Coach, thanks for coming on again. Just looking for quarterback update. I've had very limited ability to be able to view you guys on film, and it's a little frustrating, to be honest with you. I saw a short 4 or 5 minute thing with the Wyndham game that Marshallina was kind enough to put out. But give us an update on him. Obviously, there's a lot of scoring going on. How's he doing?
Tim Hersom's doing very well. Tim was our backup quarterback last year. We had a senior quarterback. Nate did an excellent job for us last year, so Tim had to wait in things. He's a junior. He throws a nice football, and he actually has the ability to run. I just have to let him run, and who knows, maybe I'll let him run tomorrow night. We'll see. But he's a good athlete. He's your prototypical 6'1", 6'2" type quarterback who can get the ball out there. And we're very happy with what he's done.
Yeah, I'm really looking for it. I love to watch quarterbacks, and especially in your offense where there's a lot of footwork, a lot of decision making, and so on and so forth. How would you rate his play action game? Sound, you're nodding your head, must be pretty good. So that's, to me, that may be key tomorrow night. Who knows?
It better be pretty good, because I mean, there's no secret as to Londonderry's strength, besides the athletes they have. They have no shame in putting 9 guys in a box. They don't care. They dare you to try and throw on them. And
that's why I was kind of driving at that question, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I agree.
If you go to Coaching Handbook 101, you have to run play-action passes if they're going to put 8 and 9 guys in a box. Whether you get away with it for the number of people they send, that's a whole other story. But regardless of who we're playing, whether they come with our people in the box, we're a wing T team. That's what wing T teams do. I mean, we're gonna run key passes and waggles and counter bootlegs and things of that nature. And like everybody else, we've got a shotgun that we'll use if we need to use. But it's what we do.
Coach, we just got deluged with rain throughout the whole southern New Hampshire area, and we're going to be playing on a grass field. That as beautiful it is, I've seen when there's a lot of water that can be potentially a factor. Do you see that as a factor? I know both teams got to play on it, so on and so forth. Do you see maybe it kind of plays into the running game a little bit? Any thoughts of that, or is it just all full steam ahead?
No, they have as much speed as we have. If anything, last year I thought they had more speed than we had. We got behind them in the playoff game on a couple of passes, and within 2 seconds, they had already caught up to our guys and pulled them back down from behind. So, if the grass, it's a good feel. But if it's muddy, if it's slippery, it's going to be slippery for both teams.
Right.
We want to throw the ball. Heenan throws the ball. Heenan wants to run with the ball. They've got a diversified attack. So I'm not the slightest bit concerned of the condition of the field, because if there is a problem with it, it's nobody's advantage.
Right.
I'm a little bit more concerned with the fact that they're talking about 30, 35 mile an hour gusts most of the day tomorrow. We'll see what that does. That can affect kicking games. That's a lot of coaching strategy maybe is attached to that, depending on where they're flowing. Do you want to kick off? Do you want to punt here? You're going to hold, we'll see. I'm more concerned with the wind than I am with that's a good field. It'll be fine.
Yep. That's a good point. Yep.
Coach, anything else for us to watch for tomorrow night?
No, I don't think so. I think, as is the case over many, many years, that this will probably be the first of 2 games, regardless of what happens tomorrow night. Although with the new playoff system, maybe not as likely. In the old days, because we're in the same conference, if you're going to make the playoffs, you were going to meet again in November. It's very possible, regardless of what happens tomorrow, that we're both in the playoffs down the road and we don't see each other because of the seeding of the 13 teams. And so maybe not. Maybe this is the only go of it. We'll see. But it doesn't matter if it was only 1 game or if we are going to meet a second time. I know that both want to win tomorrow, and they're going to do everything they can to win.
Who are we missing, Coach? You are. I know you keep a good scan of what's going on. I know you're very focused in your own program, but you've been doing this for a lot of years, and I know you watch things throughout the league. That's obviously a head coach and manager's job. Who do you see out there that people may be missing, that nobody's rating at this time on the upper tier? But is there anybody out there that's really impressing you with what they're doing at this juncture?
I mean, I'll give you my opinion, but
that's what I want.
Reading the newspaper and talking to some people, but it isn't from. Well, I scouted them the other night and saw this.
Okay.
But it's the usual suspects, the programs that are the programs year in and year out. But I think they've more or less pointed to everyone. BG, no one is surprised by them back again this year with Jimmy Lauzon and company. Nashua North, he's an exceptional running quarterback. He did a great job. They beat us last year, 42-41 or whatever the score was.
Great game.
We couldn't slow them down. The team always, you want to know that team that they just do what they do and nobody ever really makes that big a deal about them. Exeter High School.
Yeah.
I mean, if that line is what I think it is and he's able to post lead and kick out, good luck to anybody that wants to try to get the ball away from him. But Bill has run an exceptional program forever.
Oh, yeah.
It looks to me like it's one of those Exeter teams.
Yep. And you know, they've earned that upper echelon as far as what people are polling, whatever all that means. At least it's a benchmark that people use. Nice to have, nice to go by, nice to see somebody come up. But the thing about this year is, from what I can understand from talking to people, is they have a quarterback who can fire the ball as well. And on that play-action pass, which is so critical to them and so critical to Pinkerton, I couldn't agree with you more. They look to me like they're last year, but 2 or 3 pegs better because of that quarterback position. And sounds to me like they've got, from what Roger Brown was saying, they have incredible depth in the trenches, and that's going to be, for that offense and defense, that's going to be critical, right?
Absolutely. It's a proven program. I mean, you know what you're going to get with him, and he's so good at it and so simplistic as far as not multiple formations. You really can't do much about it except you got to take them on and hope that you can plug the holes. And most times, not good enough.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you. Before I hand it back to Nick, good luck to you tomorrow night, Coach. We love this game. My son and I think about it at the beginning of the year. We look when that matchup is going to be, get it on the pegboard, and we look forward to it. I'm hoping for a large, crazy crowd tomorrow night. And it's still, even after all these years, got to be a special game to walk out and coach, right?
Always.
Yeah.
It's as far as we're concerned, it's the #1 rival in the state. I understand
it is.
there are other schools.
There's something special in the air when you two play each other. There's no doubt.
They went to our school at one time. You know, when I started teaching in Pinkerton, Londonderry was there.
Yeah.
And it might not be as unique as it used to be because when we started doing it in the 80s and early 90s, the fathers of all the Londonderry football players were all graduates of Pinkerton.
Right.
After they played football at Pinkerton. So that's what made it extremely interesting.
Yeah, those guys must have been conflicted. They must have had to, think.
Wearing the Pinkerton jackets, but cheering for their sons at Londonderry. Every now and then you get that. Ramshaw kid last year, that one didn't help me at all watching.
No. What a fine young man he is, huh?
He is, as was his father. His father is an outstanding person.
Quality people.
It happens, but it's a great rivalry.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.
Coach, we appreciate you taking the time tonight. Good luck tomorrow night. I know you guys are going to put on a show for us. We appreciate being a part of it, and we thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, Brian O'Reilly, longtime head coach, now also the athletic director over there at Pinkerton Academy, always gives us the no-holds-barred exclusive interview here on FNL Gridiron.
Boy, I'll tell you, he and Coach Ball are just two gems of senior. There's other senior, coaches as well, but the Chuck Lenahans are retired now. But these two guys, you look at Coach O'Reilly; he's in incredible shape, and he's a picture of what calm, cool, and collective is. He lets his ball players. He knows. I was talking before about as a manager. I think Jimmy Lauzon has that knowledge at a very young age. Even though he's been coaching, for 9 years with Londonderry, but he manages expectations very well and understands, like we were talking earlier, when to, hey guys, stay focused. Don't lose yourself. Don't get ahead of your skis. But at the same time, back his players up where they're in the trenches, and he just knows how to manage individual players and manages coaches well, manages the program well, and that's why he's been so successful for so many years. So I'll tell you, Nick, I've been chomping at the bit to see both of these teams because, we've been off to Keene, we've been up to Concord, and over to Portsmouth. We've been kind of hitting the perimeters, and it's been wonderful games that we've done, but I'm really looking forward to kind of getting a bird's-eye view of these guys and call color and play-by-play with you.
Two of the most prestigious programs.
No doubt.
In the state. Renewing a rivalry.
Football's in their DNA.
With the MAC plaque on the line. Of course, the MAC plaque, that's something kind of unique between those two schools as well. They compete across the board athletically for a full week and kind of keep tally in that regard. So the football, I think the football game is kind of the gem, the end of the week, the big prize fight, so to speak. But again, this MAC plaque thing goes well beyond just football. And is a big part of that rivalry between those two schools. So we renew that rivalry tomorrow. Two teams fighting for positioning in the Central Conference of Division I. We are on the air at about 5:45 tomorrow night. Early kick, 6 o'clock Eastern, live from Londonderry in full 1080 HD. It's our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire Game of the Week, presented by Beals Insurance. Steve, your final thoughts.
Looking forward tomorrow night, and we've got some other games coming up, Nick, that are going to start defining some good matchups that have escaped us to a great degree. I thought within the mid-tier of football teams, which the Red Raiders showed, that those Portsmouth, they're in kind of they're still very competitive. It was great to see that, but we're going to see some of the, at least as far as the power poll and what most conventional wisdom would say, some really good matchups coming up the next 3 or 4 weeks, and I just can't wait. I'm very interested to see how all of this extends the season of the life of more programs with the fact they're going to have 13 playoff teams.
Right.
How, Nick, does that extend as we get into week 7, 8, 9? Are we going to see 4, 5, 6 more programs that are still in contention? And if that's the case, hey, more power to it. That's exciting. Interesting to see Coach O'Reilly, on the last point I'll make, saying that we may see them, we may not see them again. That's not something that you're used to when these two teams are playing their best football. Usually you see them twice.
I think he hit the nail on the head in that with 13 teams now in, you don't get that guaranteed quarterfinal matchup against a conference foe.
Correct.
Like we had seen under the old format.
Correct.
So we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed that tomorrow night is only round 1.
Talk to Roger, absolute stalwart as far as across the knowing what's going on in the football program. You certainly can throw Coach O'Reilly that double down and throw him in this category. Both of them talk about Exeter. I wanted to ask both of them that question this year. I didn't get a chance, but the timeouts, they threw me a little bit off with Jimmy. I want to ask him too. But
we'll see Exeter very shortly.
We're going to see Exeter very shortly. I can't wait to see them and Coach Ball's crew.
Yeah, they're taking on Timberlane next week. Wink, wink. We may or may not be there for that one. All right, I want to thank Roger Brown, the senior staff writer at the New Hampshire Union Leader, also the founder of New Hampshire Football Report. Check out nhfootballreport.com for more exclusive content from Roger. Appreciate him jumping on. And, of course, both coaches, Lauzon and O'Reilly. We appreciate them carving out time on the eve of the battle to speak with us. Final reminder, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock is the kick from Londonderry. We're on the air at 5:45, and our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire Game of the Week should be electric. Several thousand folks are expected at the football game, and again, if you can't make it, tune us in. We've got you covered live and direct. All right, for our director, the cameraman, and the producer, all in one hat. That's Ben Beals, of course, bringing you another stellar intro at the top of the show. Appreciate him working with our camera crew of John Barron, Craig Incardoni, and Kristen Beals to get that together for you. All three hands will be on deck tomorrow night as well. We appreciate Ben manning the command here from the Beals Insurance Studios.
Matt's on a train heading up to do Canberra because he
will be with us tomorrow.
We'll be with us tomorrow night.
So we'll have Matt Beals in the fold as well.
Heading up from D.C.
Yep, so everybody is ready to rumble here at Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire, tomorrow night. For Steve Beals, I'm Nick Anastas saying so long. This has been FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.